अच्छा भाई जी, ये डायग्राम हमें ये बताने की कोशिश कर रही थी कि सब सिस्टम्स क्या हैं और उसके कंपोनेंट्स की फैमिलीज क्या हैं, विच ऑफ द सब सिस्टम आर स्ट्रेटेजिक इन नेचर, विच आर नॉन स्ट्रेटेजिक and different components or components families are important to your subsystem or least important to your subsystem. Again, this would ultimately help us to decide, either we need to buy it ourselves or outsource for somebody. Right, moving to the next page. This is all about the economies of scale. Right, economies of scale is important business topic or business concept. And this topic comes under the core area of economics, since business is one of the branch of economics. So it is important to discuss here. Economies of scale is easy. We might have understood this concept very well. Right, firms specialize in production. Either firms use this concept in production or the firms use this concept in supply chain management. For example, the higher volumes allow a firm to spread its fixed cost over a larger volume of the operations. For example, you are engaged with a huge production businesses and you are producing a similar kind of products, and the moment you have increased your number of units that you are going to manufacture, your fixed cost, of course, there would be spread over the huge number of units, and per unit cost there would be less and there would be minimized. The simple concept. Higher volumes allow a firm to choose more efficient technologies. Again, when you are supposed to manufacture the higher volumes, you would come up with the more advanced technologies, and time to producing one unit and the cost to produce one unit, there would be minimized. Right, the concept is again simple. For example, you travel through Devo. If the Devo bus that would operate at its fullest capacity, so the revenue generated by that single trip, that would be maximized. If half of the Devo bus there was empty, there were 5, 6, 7 or 10 passengers traveling in single trip, so the per unit passenger or the cost per passenger, they would be very high, and that trip that would cause a severe loss to the company. So that's all about economies of scale. Pooling of buffer capacities and inventories. Buffer capacities or inventories means when the demand is uncertain, right? Demand is uncertain in the market, you're always trying to keep a buffer stocks with yourself. If the demand suddenly increases, how would you respond to that surge in demand? If you have maintained optimum level of inventories and there are some kind of emergency or some kind of contingency stocks and capacities, that would help you to carry on your economies of scale. Right, learning curve effect, cumulative production. When you sum up your similar kind of productions, that is known as cumulative production. And when cumulative production is being performed, so that would double your production and they would cut your cost by half of the original cost. Right, then the agency cost. Agency cost means when there is a principal company and there is agent working for the principal company. For example, one is your marketing department, one is your product innovation department, and another is transportation department. So transportation department is supplying the products to the different retail outlets to the final customers, and the production department, that is manufacturing. So production department is the principal department, right? And the transport department, that is the agent department. So there is agency cost always. So you need to decide what is my production level. Should I deliver it by myself to the final consumer or the retail outlet, or I should hire somebody else to deliver it? There would be an agent that would act on your behalf. So agency cost, you need to minimize this also. You need to keep in mind the economies of scale and discuss. Transaction cost is again something like transaction cost mean you are interacting with different kinds of suppliers, you are interacting with different kind of distributors, you are interacting with different kind of retailers. So what is your transaction cost with dealing a bigger distributor, with dealing a bigger supplier, with dealing a medium level supplier or distributor, or the retailer, or with dealing with the smallest level of distributor, supplier, or the retailer. So again, what is your transaction cost? I mean, you are responding to a bigger order of products and services. If you're a supplier, right, what would be your transaction cost for each unit? And if you're responding to the medium level of order, what would be the transaction cost? And if you are supplying to the minimum order, for example, now this pandemic situation, companies, they do not have stocks. I mean, the retailers, they do not have stocks because the supply line has been disturbed, right? So if a producer or the manufacturer that has a limited stock, how would that respond to a bigger order? What would be the transaction cost? And it says to CN, I mean, that would accommodate 2, 3, 4, 5 orders from the different distributors or the retailers, or that would be able to respond to a single order from a single distributor, but that order is bigger. So this is how you would decide that I should accommodate all of the demands and what is my transaction cost, or I should respond or accommodate one demand from one bigger distributor, what would be my transaction cost? So overall transaction cost per unit, that is crucial area. So you need to carry on the concept of economies of scales and all kinds of costs. So today's lecture is over. ठीक है, अभी जुमे की नमाज का भी टाइम हो रहा है और आज हमने ये थोड़ा सा इसको देख भी लिया है. तो नेक्स्ट इस चैप्टर को और जो इम्पोर्टेंट चीजें होंगी मैं आपके साथ शेयर करूंगा. मैं आसिम को और जो मैडम है मैं उनको ये व्हाट्सएप कर देता हूँ जितनी भी स्कैन चीजें हैं. बाकी ये बुक्स अगर आपके पास है तो इट्स ओके. ठीक है जी, किसी ने को बात करनी है तो कर ले. हेलो
जी सर.
ठीक है, आप लोग सो रहे थे मुझे लगता है ना. चले, मैं मीटिंग को फिर एंड कर रहा हूँ. आप लोग इसको देख लें. मैं इस फाइल को आसिम को और आपको भी ये व्हाट्सएप कर दूंगा. आप शेयर कर लें सबके पास. बुक्स भी आप लोगों के पास होंगी तो इंशाल्लाह फिर नेक्स्ट मिलते हैं. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
ओके सर.
Welcome. Thank you, sir.